Hello, it has been a long time since I've actually made one of these. Geez, I think it's been almost a year. I'm doing it right now because I actually have well, the Chronicles are just ending for my vampire game. Well, actually, for all of the games. They're starting up the new Chronicle next, or well, in a month. In a month. This month is for history games for the next Chronicle. I am going to be storytelling. I'm storytelling for Werewolf the Apocalypse here in Austin. I'm very happy about that. I have 3 storytellers underneath me. I have gotten a large amount of people that are wanting to play this, and I truthfully want to play it too, but sadly I'm not going to be able to because I'm storytelling. I'm doing everything that I was taught by the people who taught me everything about storytelling, starting with David Morgan and Matt and Kat Williams and Kelly Kelly Barnes. Um, uh, wow, it's been really crazy. I've been really excited about it though. I've been creating NPCs and whole plot lines. I've got plot lines for roughly the first 2 to 3 months, and my other storytellers have plot lines they want to run as well. And we have about maybe I think 15 to 20 people that are going to be showing up to the game, so I'm really excited about it. The other purpose of this was to talk about the end of my characters in the last Chronicle. Um, Starting off with Cam Anarch, I had 2 characters there. I had a Tremere, I've mentioned him before, Karen Richards. He is dead now. He died in the last 5 minutes of the last game of the Chronicle of the 3-year Chronicle. He survived the entire time up until that point. I'm kind of okay with that, with how he died. Actually, I'm really good with it because the way he ended up dying was there was a ritual that was going to summon pretty much a Cthulhuid creature to destroy the world, and it required the soul of like somebody really old, and he wasn't. But they took the soul of of a 6th generation gangrel elder who has dragon form. So when his soul was taken out, Mike Kieran thought, "Oh, I'll hop into his body. I can have the body of a dragon. That will be awesome." At which point, his body also transformed into light and was used as in the spell. So Kieran ended up dying in that, and everybody laughed. It was a great ending. Everybody laughed, but it was a very funny thing that happened. And even I was like, "Ah, damn it." It was okay though. He had pretty much lost his mind by the end of the Chronicle. He found out that towards the end of it that uh, somebody he respected had died and then had come back, only to find out that it was Goratrix who was in his body trying to manipulate the entire Tremere clan. He lost all faith in his clan. He found out that Ambrose, the Malkavian, had bloodbound him somehow, or gotten partial bond on him, which explained why he was doing everything for Ambrose. He found out that he was dominated by several other different elders who weren't of his clan just because they didn't trust him, and as a result, his mind just started shattering, and he kept getting these death images of everybody and everything, and apocalypse images like Gehenna and everything, and so he just slowly started losing his mind, which is funny because in the very beginning of the Chronicle, when he was just a seer for the clan, he had mentioned to several people that he didn't want to, or he was afraid that one day the visions would be too much for him and he would lose his mind as a result. And he made contingency plans so that if that ever happened, one of the people he talked to would kill him. And then it turns out that he survived all of the contingency plans except for one. So if he hadn't have died, Janot was going to go and stake him to and send him into Topor so that he wouldn't ever have to deal with it again. And that was how he was supposed to go out of play. But he died in the last 5 minutes, so that was okay. The other character in the Cam Anarch venue was Dade Marcus, and he really didn't have an ending. I liked where his story was going, but sadly, because the Toreador pretty much abandoned Austin, he was kind of stuck as the only Toreador left, and he didn't have anybody to play off of. He really didn't work as a character to deal with everybody else because of the things that the rest of the city had done to the Toreador, so he kind of faded off. I'm still going to use the name Dade in my next character. In the next Chronicle, I'm making a Giovanni, and instead of Dade, I'm naming him Donatello Giovanni. And it's going to be much, much more different than Dade is. I'll probably make a post about him later on. And the Requiem venue, my character Talon DeHart, the Galoy, the game is over, the Chronicle is over. Talon kind of wrote it off into the sunset. It was I treated it very much like there was no ultimate doomsday apocalypse for that Chronicle, and I just had him. I wrote a nice little story for him. Basically, he figures out that, or he has a moment of clarity, and he figures out that they're all characters as part of some sort of like game, and the strings have been cut. The world is over. The people controlling them are done and moving on. So they're actually free, and it was the only ending I could give for him, because they're playing it as if the world goes on without them, or without somebody telling them what to do. And I kind of liked it. I liked how it ended. I'm very happy with how Talon's story ended, because I really wasn't, for the longest time, up until about 3 years ago, I wasn't really sure what to do with Talon. For the first 4 or 5 years that I played him, I only played him mainly because I was kind of excited about the game, and then when I first got into it, it felt very lame and sad, and Talon was very directionless, and I have a lot to be thankful for in San Antonio, because they're the ones who really got me back into it. My friends Melissa and Travis, and a guy, Kevin, his character Whisper was a large portion of why Talon started having a lot more fun. So I'm very grateful for what I got to play with Talon for 8 years. And there's the final character, my Mage, Connor McKnight, and his story I still have to write, or at least the final story. The final game for him was he got on the Gokai Galleon, because it's a long story, but his geekiness came into full effect, and him and the other members that formed the crew of the Gokai Galleon went off to fight this big bad along with a whole bunch of other people, and they did, and they won, and you would think that would be fantastic and everything is good, and he'd go back home. And then right after we did it, because technically the game can still be played and the lists are still active, there was people who bitched and moaned and griped and complained about, and so it was like, okay, we fought the final battle and we're gonna whine the next day, you motherfuckers. So, yeah, I'm going to use foul language. It annoyed me, because I'm like, we didn't even get 24 hours to celebrate before people are complaining. What is wrong with you people? Are you nothing but a bunch of whiny children? And I realized, oh, wait, that's how most players are in rural areas that have no real games and just internet access. They must do the internet troll thing. So, there's been other things that have happened here. If you notice, my background has changed, because I'm now living in a new place, and I'm very happy with it. I've been here about a little over a month now, and it's really, really, I mean, there's only me and the landlord slash roommate, and 2 dogs, so it's pretty good. My room is roughly about the same size, and I just haven't figured out how to adjust everything to make it quite right. So anyway, next Chronicle is coming up. I actually am running the first of the history games in 6 hours for Werewolf the Apocalypse. I'm very excited about it. I'll have to make a separate post entirely about Werewolf, because I could go on and on about werewolf geekiness all night. Well, thank you for listening. Have a good night.